Hello, I'm Andrew Freidin. I'm going to talk about a few points with regard to how I play the flute, which may or may not be of use to you. The first point is that in holding the flute I use a three-point technique. I don't use this little finger, often referred to as the pinky or the right pinky. I use it for playing these keys. And in fact, to establish that I've got a solid, firm position of holding the flute, I often check that I can play scales without using this finger at all. Even though it improves the tone on a few notes, it's not necessary for a lot of others and shouldn't be relied on for actually supporting the flute. The 3 points that I used are the chin, where the flute rests, countervailing pressure from the side of the index finger at its base, level with the key that when placed down is the C natural, and the right thumb, which approaches the flute, not bent but straight, and approaches the flute under the rod, about level with the index finger, perhaps a little down, depends on the size of your hand, and approaches it a little below, but certainly not underneath. And this means that the forces of the 3 points completely support the flute. So the note C sharp has none of the active fingers down. I should be able to hold the flute and perform C sharp without any problem. It's a sharp note, it needs to be adjusted at times. The first scale, the C major scale from the Reich Art studies, without the little finger, and hopefully the stability should be evident. Now, I'm not against people putting the little finger down, as it should be for many notes, but one can see from that one can play quite fast and fluently without it, and I believe one gains fluency and speed, facility, by making sure one doesn't rely on this finger. I do, however, practice it with the correct fingering, because that's usually what I'm playing with. The next point I'd like to make is with regard to developing tone. There are many good exercises on tone. I haven't invented any new ones. However, I think it's very important to keep in mind when looking at tone exercises that the goal is to play musically and with a singing style. I think there are excellent warm-up exercises, tone studies, on the Galway Network site. You can download them freely. This is one that you probably can't see, which I've printed. It's a very simple figure and nevertheless very useful. And first I'll play a few bars of it, and then I'll talk about what I think can be useful in how you approach it. Now, of course, you can practice that going through every key and in every register to great effect. But one of the things that helps in developing tone is a musical context. And I was playing this the other day and I thought, I know that tune. Well, of course, it's simply a major 7th chord, so it appears in music many times. But I was particularly aware suddenly that it was from a great symphony by Rachmaninoff. And I'm not sure which movement, I think in the 3rd, but I'm not sure. And this lovely figure uses the whole scale, it extends the pattern. So I'll start in the key of the first exercise that Sir James puts in B flat major. I'll just play the phrase, and then, if I can remember the notes, how Rachmaninoff develops it into a very beautiful tune. I'm trying to get across that when one thinks of it melodically, automatically one begins to play around with the tone, because the mood of that very simple phrase, which involves all the notes of that major scale, by being a fragment that's repeated at different levels within the scale, becomes minor and major again, and the tone has to match that and give a sense of direction. And I think this isn't an original thought, but it's something which I think can add a lot to our playing, particularly when sometimes these exercises seem very dry. The next point I'd like to make is with regard to how a steady embouchure, meaning the relationship of the embouchure hole of the flute in relation to the head at the chin, that stability enables one to make leaps, octaves, and so on relatively easily. All the changes that one then has to make with the lips, and a common problem is that there isn't a stability of contact. If the movement is possible, if there's movement up and down, this looseness means that whenever one tries to change register, one has the additional problem of compensating for whatever that movement was. So the lips never get a chance to really learn the perfect position to produce each note. And this is really important because it's easy enough to develop finger facility. The embouchure never seems to develop at the same rate. It's very hard to adjust the embouchure to get the best possible sound when you're playing at high speed. I'm sure we all have the experience we can play beautifully when we play slowly, but as we speed up, the tone it doesn't appear to be as good, and that's simply because the embouchure is not adjusting at the speed necessary. And all our exercises should be aimed towards improving that flexibility of the embouchure that hopefully will match the speed of our fingers, and the same goes for the tongue in articulation. So it's a little awkward because I don't have a mobile camera. I've just got the computer camera, so I'll have to lean in, which is not the ideal way to play. But perhaps after I've done a little bit in this position, I'll go back to standing and play for music in the correct posture, and hopefully be able to demonstrate some of the sleeps as well. I'll start off, I suppose, with a simple scale, and I'll just see if I can get the lips in a good position so you can view them. So the full register of the flute can be made to sound without a massive movement of the jaw or the flute. It all comes down to the lips. It's very hard to sustain legato with the high notes because such high pressure and resistance is required at the lips. Nevertheless, below that level, below the altissimo level, most things can be accomplished quite easily. Okay, so I found my Böhm studies, and I'm going to play from Opus 15, number 12. Anyway, I'll start slowly. I won't come too close to the computer so I can take a decent breath and stand properly, but hopefully you'll be able to see my lips adequately. If I start slowly, you should see the movement, and then I'll speed up some more. Hold, smash. One other trick, oil the pinky. Not only do you not need it to support the flute, but when it's playing these keys, especially when you're playing low notes, it's very nice for them to be able to glide easily, this finger. So you just rub your finger here, a bit of skin oil, lubricates perfectly, doesn't damage the flute. Very nice little trick, very helpful. Okay, bye.